Hey guys, welcome back to Divergent States, the unofficial Psychedelic podcast. I'm Elite, your host, back with Brian.
Hey, what's up, man?
How you doing?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Oh, good. Just kind of going back and forth. Been trying to get some interviews lined up with people, some big names. Hoping it comes through for everyone. It'd be great. So today we've got Wendy Tucker. She's the Ann Shulgin's daughter of the Shulgin Foundation. Alexander, known as Sasha Shulgin, and his wife, were together. She runs, but Wendy Tucker now runs Transform Press and the Shulgin Foundation. And yeah, she'll be joining us today, and we'll both be here for this one. And
That's right. Yeah.
yeah, we'll listen to a little bit of music again. You guys, thank you again for everybody who's joined on the Patreon. Um, keep it coming, keep joining. Everybody new, I love to see it. We keep it up. We'll hopefully be able to go to Denver
Yep.
in June. Be a great opportunity for everyone. So I'm talking to the people at Maps. Hopefully, even get some more bigger names on the show, and keep the word and keep everything going. So we'll hear some music and be back in a second. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. You're welcome. We'd love to have you here. So could you start by giving us a little about your background and how you started to lead the Shulgin Foundation?
Yeah, Ann Shulgin's my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I met Sasha when I was probably about 17, 18. I was just finishing high school when they got together and then got married, and worked with Sasha Shulgin for some time after traveling the world a bit. And yeah, it was such an honor to be with him in the lab, in the office, and working with him. And so now that both Anne and Sasha have passed, I've been on a mission to preserve the Shulgin Farm because it's such an important place in history, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, I agree with that. So leading to that, for those who might not be very familiar, can you tell us about the mission of the Shulgin Farm, the Shulgin Foundation,
Mm-hmm. Well,
and why it's important?
yeah, well,
Go ahead.
I don't know if some people know about the Shulgins, some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
The Shulgins were a really amazing couple. My mom was very interested in psychology and psychotherapy and spirituality, and Sasha was an amazing chemist, an amazing scientist. And so they really balanced each other out beautifully, and did some very important work. Sasha created over 200 novel compounds in his little lab in Lafayette. And my mom did a lot of therapy with some of the compounds that he created and some others that, MDMA he did not create, but he did kind of take it off the shelves and dust it off and recreate it. So that's why they call him the Godfather of Ecstasy, not the father of ecstasy. They didn't like that term, by the way, ecstasy. They really, yeah, to them it was a much more serious thing and such an amazing tool. So
That's one of the first stories I remember hearing was about giving it. I believe it was to couples counselors in Dallas, in that area, back in I think the early '80s or something. I don't know if you correct me on that or not. And that's kind of where the whole boom started, if I remember correctly.
well, they gave it to a very dear friend who was a therapist named Leo Zeff. Leo had been doing therapy, I think psychedelic therapy, even with some other substances before, but he was kind of ready to retire. And when Sasha re-synthesized MDMA, he gave it to Leo, and Leo came out of retirement. He was like, "Okay, this is the tool that I have been looking for," um, and started training other therapists on how to use it in therapy. He was an incredible person and trained hundreds of people in the most secret way. I mean, people who are still around who are trained by him do not talk about it. Do not talk about the training. They don't talk about the people involved. It's high security.
Well, and it's interesting. You really we're only seeing the fruition of that today, like with
Hmm.
the FDA trials and stuff. It's finally coming to the mainstream, but it took 50 years to get here.
Right. Well, this work was going on in the underground for so long, and it would still be that way, and maybe even still be, or maybe legalized by now if it had taken a different route. But as it happens, it ended up in the club scene, and that was the Dallas connection. Is it was being given out and sold in bars and ending up in raves, and I mean, it's an amazing thing to dance on. I do grant you that, but it's an even more amazing tool for really going in and exploring oneself and getting through trauma, or even just to better oneself. But yeah, and my mom did a lot of therapy with MDMA and 2CB and other things, and um, these compounds are incredible tools for self-exploration, for self-improvement. You don't have to have trauma to benefit from using them. But boy, when you do have things that you need to deal with, there's really nothing like it. Um, so, when my mom passed, Sasha passed in 2014. It was just 10 years ago. And when my mom passed 2 years ago, I felt like this place, the farm, was so important with Sasha's lab in the backyard. He developed over 200 novel compounds there. The research group used to do their work at the house, researching the things that he was creating and making their reports about it. And the idea of just letting this property and the lab go was, yeah, I just couldn't see that happening. And the family was so supportive. Everybody realizes like this is a very important historical place, and so it needs to be preserved. So that's what we're doing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been watching on Instagram a lot and then seeing some of the work you guys have been doing. What would you say was the kind of the turning point for you that led to your like the deep involvement in with the foundation and getting this all going?
Well, it's just the feeling and the knowledge that this place needs to be preserved. And so, how are we going to do that? I have been working with a guy named Peter Vitale for the last 2.5, almost 2 years, year and a half, 2 years. And we went through many iterations of how we could do this. We thought about perpetual purpose trust model, some other sort of like models where the whole community owns the space because it is such a community space. It's been that for over 40 years, where a lot of the psychedelic community not only has come through there, but has gathered there over the years to for various parties or whatever. And so it's I just I after a lot of
Just
back and forth, we figured nonprofit is the best format to have this in. So yeah, it's been a long road. It feels like at this point, just figuring out the format. We've had this nonprofit in place for just a year now, and we're fundraising to transfer the property to the nonprofit so that it can stay in the nonprofit indefinitely. Because I'm looking at this place and thinking about 100 years, 200 years from now, and people being able to see the lab and see where all this happened and feel the history there, because you really do when you get to the place. You feel it. It's a lot of
It's someplace.
experiences.
Yeah, it's someplace I've really wanted to see myself
Mm.
eventually one day. It'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Well, you should definitely come.
That's on our list.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
we do that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Please. Yeah. I mean, what we're doing now is we're developing programs there. We've had some third-party events, Zendo and Mycelial Network, and yeah, they've had some events there. The Deva Collective as well, and so we're doing these third-party events there to utilize the place, because this is another thing. It's like, I didn't feel like this place should be a museum where people come and it's just hands off. It should be
Yeah.
a living, breathing, functioning place for the community. So actually, we have some workshops coming up and classes and lectures planned. So I really want to make it that sort of place where small groups can come and learn mostly and share information, have meetings, whatever. It just feels like this place is for the people, and so we're really getting that going. It is really exciting what's happening. We have a lot planned for 2025, so working it out.
Awesome. Yeah, I noticed that. I was gonna say, one of the foundation we talked about. I think I talked to you guys and emailed you about was the Deva Collective
Mm-hmm.
with women in psychedelics. Could you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit more about that, and what inspired that, and what's the main goals around that?
That was a fantastic group that met there. It wasn't our event. Deva Collective put this on and got some speakers and talked about women's health, and how I learned a lot that day actually. That traditionally, some cultures have used psychedelics or mushrooms in particular, like during pregnancy, during later parts of pregnancy, or for perimenopause, or so there's ways that some of these things have been used over the centuries by different cultures for health purposes. And so, yeah, we had about 60 people, I think it was, and met in the barn. And it was, the barn is this big structure on the property. It is sort of our meeting place. And it was a fantastic day, a really good response from people. So, yeah, the
Sounds
Deva
great.
Collective was one, and I look forward to many, many more like that.
I was gonna say, yeah, you've got a couple initiatives going there. Seeing you guys talk about and showing it all looks really exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What kind of responses have you seen so far for a lot of these initiatives?
Well, I mean, I've been so focused on just our, creating this foundation and fundraising primarily right now, that what's happening out in the world as the ripple effect goes out, I'm not even really aware of. I'm not paying much attention to it, but all I know is that we are a place that these people can come and share the information and do whatever they are doing. And it feels really good to be a part of that and be able to host that, and on such a piece of property that's so meaningful, right? Because that's the thing about the farm, is that the what's happened there is meaningful. And so people coming to gather and share information, and yeah, it means a lot to people. I think, in the future, I'm even thinking about weddings. Like, could you imagine getting married on Shulgin Farm? How great would that be?
That would be
So
amazing.
I
yeah,
can see it. I can see it now.
yeah,
That would be great. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's really exciting to, to just preserve this piece of history, the farm.
Mm.
Just all the stories I've heard, you hear coming out of, the Tykel and Feichel that, you grew up there. And it's really just iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any memories from growing up there that kind of influenced your path? And
Well, like I said, I met Sasha when I was about 17. So I had already done a little bit of my own research with some of these things before then. And, um, I got to participate in a little bit of the research of his compounds that he was making and make my reports. And that was really an honor to do that. Um,
yeah,
Working with Sasha was great. He was such a patient teacher because I'm not a chemist, but I helped him in the lab, and he was so great at just showing me what to do and teaching me what was happening. And he would get in the lab, and he was like a kid in a candy store. He was so happy. And I was really excited about what he was doing, and
got to do what you love,
you
huh?
gotta
Yeah.
do what you love. It's true. The universe sort of conspires to help you when you do that.
Yeah.
And I really think that happened with Sasha. He definitely was, he was a man on a mission for sure. And the universe did conspire to help him.
Mhm.
He was really prolific in his work.
I love that saying too, by the way, that the universe is conspiring to help you.
Mhm.
It's such a good one.
Yeah. So do you have any good stories from back when you used to work with Sasha in the lab?
It was on one hand, it was just work. We had fun. We'd come into the lab. I don't know if you've seen pictures of the lab, but it's not very big. It's
Yeah.
this cinder block little building, and it's crowded and it's cold. He would build a fire in the fireplace. There was an open fireplace when I was working with him there.
Oh,
Turn on the
wow.
classical music. Things are bubbling and boiling and going, and we would just work in there, and he would show me what to do. And then, we would go to the office, and if it was either the office or the lab, uh, and sometimes fixing something on the house. But he was just, yeah, he was really a funny, interesting person to be around. He was incredibly funny. I don't know if you've ever seen him speaking or seen videos of him, but he did have a pretty silly sense of humor, really a lot of
Hmm.
Yeah.
wordplay. And um, so, yeah, even working, just doing the research work with him in the office was fun to do because he was a sweet person to be around. And
Mhm.
being around my mom too, it was really a wonderful thing to be able to spend time with both of them. It wasn't my full-time gig. I was also selling jewelry that I was bringing in from Asia and sort of doing my gypsy thing. But
Right.
so, yeah, I feel really lucky to have had that experience.
Yeah, it sounds, I mean, yeah, it does. I really, I couldn't imagine growing up in your place, growing up on the Shulgin farm. It'd be surreal to me. Are there any lessons from your mother, Ann Shulgin, that have stayed with you that kind of guide your work today?
Well, from both of them, there was incredible humility, and they were so down to earth. Didn't think that highly of themselves, really. They were very humble and super respectful of other people and of each other. It didn't matter where you came from, what degree you had or not. Sasha was 100% there, and so was my mom. So they were really both very open and incredibly present that way with anybody who came around. And so that's a great modeling, right? And Sasha said something when we worked in the lab that's always stuck with me. He said, you don't learn by things going right. You only really learn things when things go wrong. So you
Oh,
embrace it, and
so
I
true.
had, right? And with the chemist, that was pretty incredible to hear him saying that in the middle of some reaction that he's doing. It's like, okay, well, if it doesn't work out, it's like cooking a stew, oh, if it doesn't work out, you try again, what to do next time a little differently. But yeah, that was a good lesson.
Yeah, oh, sorry, I just had a little, my brain went somewhere else for a second. Yeah, it,
Happens.
he, yeah, I can't, yeah, there, let me just go, so you talked about the community and how, just that openness. Oh, that's what it was. You talk about the, that sometimes it's the more harsh, the what goes wrong, as you just said, is that's what you learn. You never learn from what goes right, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of relates to psychedelic trips as well. I mean, because a lot of times you don't really learn anything from just the good fun times. You're just
Yeah.
having fun. It's
Mm,
not much learning there, but it's sometimes when you have those deeper kind of struggles, the inner struggles, that you learn more about yourself.
that's true.
And so it kind of relates to that too.
Mm-hmm. Very
um,
much.
and I know Brian's been real interested with especially with MDMA therapy for veterans.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's a military veteran himself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
um, we're talking to, I think, the vets, Amber Capone, and from vets, doing some MDMA therapy. So yeah, it's really exciting to see how far that's come
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
just all of that time.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
I I really love that MDMA has found its way into working with veterans in that way. I mean, thanks to
Hmm.
MAPS and the work they've been doing. And yeah, I mean, people could say, well, it's sort of the medicalization as a pathway to just trying to get it accessible for everyone. What I don't
Hmm.
really, I mean, just me, I think it's incredibly important work. And if anybody deserves healing, man, oof, it's veterans.
right.
I know some incredible veterans. I work in a chiropractic office, and we treat
Hmm.
a few, and incredible, sweet, wonderful people, and they've
Oh yeah.
really given themselves over, and to, yeah, it's great that there's some giving back, some that the Veterans Administration is helping to sort of push that through because it's
Right.
needed, really needed.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, absolutely. And in the military, they put a big stigma around all this stuff, especially, things like cannabis and all these other things, but they promote drinking
Yeah.
and this is the kind of wrong mindset, I would say. And then when you get out and you get an opportunity to try some of these things, you have this completely different experience. It can be life changing. And
Right.
I think it's important that veterans have access to that because, I mean, it's just not available to them.
Yeah. And like you said, with the stigma around it, I'm sure there's a lot
Hmm.
of fear. Well, there's a lot of fear around trying these things anyway, be a veteran or not, right? I mean,
Right.
and healthy fear. People should be cautious. People should be wary and really go into it with full intention. And this is not, what did Sasha say? There are no casual experiments, none. So these things need to be treated with reverence and treated seriously. So yeah, I think that given well, many years from now, I think the stigma of these things will start to drop away as people really understand how healing they can be. And I am looking forward to a day, and this is where Sasha he was such an advocate of education. If you don't educate people about the good, the bad, and the ugly, about everything, you're not giving them the information. So you need to tell people the truth, which is, well, these things feel amazing. You can have great experience, all the good things that you can say about them, and they're dangerous. And if you have a heart condition, they can be especially dangerous. Any of the negative things. If you are a little on the edge mentally, you should not be touching them. Whatever it is,
Hmm.
it's the education
Yeah,
about these things is so important.
that's something we've been try to be real big advocates on the subreddit is, setting, guide. I'll try to get these straight. If you can do those and kind of, get those started and, start correctly from the beginning, you're more, even if it does become a more difficult time, you're still going to be prepared for that.
Mm.
Is kind of the point of
And
that.
integration, right?
Integration is a
Integration, like
great.
there's so many stories of people working with somebody and then like the next day they're just set free. Like, okay, that's it. You had your experience. Like that to me, like kind of shocking. Like integration's such a big part of this. You need to be talking about the experience, not be sort of left on one's own. So
Mhm.
I'm sure that is going to be shifting and changing over time too, and people will understand how important that is.
Well, and people having access to like psychedelic therapists, approved therapists and stuff, and that's becoming more mainstream and approved now. That's going to help a lot with that as well, I think.
Hmm. I hope
So
so.
speaking of, yeah, I mean, I do too. Speaking of which, how could like the psychonaut community and our other listeners out there better support the work of the Shulgin Foundation and its different initiatives?
Yeah, well, shulginfoundation.org is our website, and we are adding more to that and getting it filled out as much as we can. We're a small, lean, and mean team. We're really working hard to get everything sort of together. And as we have events, that's definitely, we're posting events on our social media, Shulgin Foundation, Instagram and Facebook, um, Sasha Shulgin Facebook also. And so eventually we'll have any events that we're having also posted on the website so that people can see what's coming up and classes and whatnot. But right now it's about support. Financial support is really what we need because we're the reason we're fundraising is to transfer the property into the nonprofit, and until that piece is done, well, that's what we're working on. And so then after that, it's going to be a different story of just how much more we can do there, and not just at the farm though. This is the thing about the Shulgin Foundation is yes, it's place centric. Yes, the farm is a special place, and that's where all this happened. But no, we're going to be out in the world doing other things too, bringing
Mhm.
Sasha's work out into the world somehow. Mom and Sasha. Mom was a really incredible therapist. She was an incredible person, very well read, very educated, and she worked with other therapists, helping them sort of figure out what to do in these problem situations. She had a great intuitive sense for these things. So there's a lot that can happen with just what Mom and Sasha did to bring to other people in the world. So I don't even know yet what it's going to be.
Mhm.
But there's a long, good, beautiful future here. I'm really happy that it's happening because this was a dream a couple of years ago, and it's really solidifying, and it's real. And our main goal is to make sure that the farm's preserved, yes, but it's also really about the community and keeping this community together and in touch with each other and learning from each other and helping each other. um, this is the main point of it, and I feel like there's not enough of that. I think everything's so segmented, in this community, and the bigger it gets, which it's happening pretty fast, I think the more important it is to have some central locations or ways that people can communicate and share information and be together, especially face
Yeah,
to face. There's
Mhm.
something about being in
right.
physical presence of other people that are like-minded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
community is a huge part of any real, I guess organization or community in and of itself. You just have to have the community um, to move anywhere really. And I guess the more segmented it is, like you say, it you really can't get anywhere with it,
Mm.
you know. And it's getting bigger. We're getting places more and more people come in. And um, are there any opportunities for people to get involved beyond donations, like volunteering or
Hmm.
participating in events?
Yeah, the best thing to do is to reach out through the website to info@shulginfoundation.org. And if somebody really feels moved to help out somehow, just write. And like we've had some people reach out and they've been helping with the archive project, because there's a huge archive project that's going on, with all of Sasha's work, Sasha and my mom's work. But Sasha was just so like prolific. It was
I was
insane how
gonna
much
say
he.
I can't
Oh
imagine
my
how many
gosh.
notes and stuff
Oh
around
my gosh.
there he must have.
Drawers and drawers, file cabinets full of communication and, um, you know, research and articles and anything that if there was a certain compound he was interested in, he would collect everything about that. It's not just what he was doing; it's like anything anybody was writing about it, or and it, yeah, articles, whatever. It didn't matter. So it's an incredible library of information there. So the Arrowitz have been spearheading that for the last many years, and we're really closing in on the end of it. It's right now we're just cataloging, or they are cataloging the books, and then there's still some media to digitize. But oh my gosh, it's an incredible array of assortment of stuff. And so eventually, all these archives, or most of it, will go to Bancroft Library in Berkeley. We've been in touch with
Hmm.
them. They want the archive. We want it to be there. I'm really hoping that we can build out a whole psychedelic archive there at Berkeley. We've
That
been
would be
talking to some
amazing.
people about that. I think it's the Bay Area needs that, and Berkeley's the
Hmm.
place, you know. So
Right?
yeah, so having the Shulgin archives there, uh, there can be a lot of other archives that can join that. That's sort of my vision. But
I mean, isn't that where they say Bear taught himself to make LSD back in the 60s? So, I
mm,
mean, what a great
I
place for it.
know. And
So,
Sasha was in school there and he taught there. So it's the
yeah,
perfect
I mean,
place.
gosh, yeah. So, how do you balance preserving the legacy of your parents with adapting to the new and evolving landscape around psychedelic research?
You know, I don't even know how to answer that. I'm so focused in on just what I'm doing.
Right.
Honestly, it's really, and I also run Transform Press, which
Oh my gosh,
this
yeah,
is
that's
the book company that Mom and Sasha created because nobody would publish Pikal. Pikal and
right.
Tikal. So Pikal, A Chemical Love Story was their first book. And it was just so, 1991, the climate then, oh, nobody wanted to touch it. It's full of recipes on how to create these things. It was a
Mhm.
little too hot for these publishing houses. So they started their own publishing company, and Tikal was the first one, Tikal, the continuation. And now we've done the Nature of Drugs books. I don't know if you've seen those, but
Mm-mm.
oh, they're
I
great.
haven't seen this.
So Sasha taught he taught a lot at different places, but San Francisco State, he had this class called The Nature of Drugs. And my mom came with him to this particular course in 1986, and with her cassette recorder. And every class she would just, hit record and record the whole class. So we have this whole course in cassette tapes, and it took a lot of work to get it to a readable form. But we have volume
Hmm.
1 and volume 2 out right now, and we still have volume 3, which will be the last one yet to
Yeah.
publish. But these books are incredible because it's a class, but it wasn't like you didn't need to know any chemistry to
Hmm.
to take it, or to understand it, because it was really an entry level class, and it was Sasha at his best talking about politics and cognitive liberty and chemistry and plants and all of the things that he loved. And so these books were really special to put out because you can really hear Sasha's voice when you're reading it. If you're familiar with him, you can almost hear him, but for those who haven't seen him lecture or seen videos of him, he's just incredibly entertaining to read and incredibly knowledgeable. So
Yeah, I definitely want to look for those. That sounds really good.
yeah, they're really. I've learned a lot by working on them, and uh, they're wonderful books. So yeah, so to get back to the question, like I'm just so focused on this project of preserving the property and sort of building out our programs. Um, and then Transform Press is, taking a little bit of a back seat right now because there's only so many hours in a day.
Right, right. And only so many of you, right?
See, none of us can
Um,
do these things alone. I have such incredible people I'm working with. I feel very
right.
fortunate.
Speaking of that, where can people go to learn more about the foundation, stay updated, get involved? Who's that again?
Shulginfoundation.org, and that's SHULGIN,
Oh,
Shulginfoundation.org. Yep, that's
awesome.
Got it.
yeah.
Are there any specific programs or events you're currently fundraising or excited about?
Well, we're having a donor appreciation event that we're planning right now, and that's really exciting to me because I have felt really like a little like, I want to do something for the people who've already given and the people who will be giving, and so that's coming up. And we have classes that we're starting. Paul Daly, who Sasha sort of mentored. I mean, he was a chemist anyway, but Sasha sort of took him under his wing when he was starting to fail, and so kind of passing the torch to him a bit. So Paul Daly's doing some classes, and um, that's going to be really fun. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of things coming up. I can't even really think about it right now, but I'm
It sounds
excited mostly
awesome.
for classes,
Hmm.
cactus cultivation classes.
I think I did, yeah, saw something about that, about safe extraction
Hmm.
methods or something
Hmm.
like that. That
Hmm.
sounds really
And there will
interesting.
be no illegal activity on the farm. We can't do that, but there's other ways to learn these things and apply them how one wants to.
Hmm.
Correct, correct. Oh, that's awesome. That's kind of all the base questions I had for anything. Brian, you got anything?
No, that was great. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, it's really my pleasure. It's really good to meet you both and to be on. And yeah,
I Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. Yeah, we kind of I really just started this a little while ago, and it's just kind of snowballed since with a bunch of amazing guests and like such as yourself, and it's just I'm real excited to get it out and get these voices into the community.
it's great. Yeah. Well, best of luck. It's you're
Thank you.
doing you're
Yeah.
doing great work. This is it's information, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Sharing information and educating people, and so it's thanks for what you're doing.
advocacy and oh,
Hmm.
thank you.
Hmm.
Advocacy and education. That's what we can do, and
That's right.
and yeah, I love it. Well, again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I hope we'll be able to hopefully talk to you again sometime, and maybe hopefully we'll get an AMA going sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
You
looking
get to
forward to
ask
that.
me anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great. So yeah, we're looking to hopefully February sometime for that. So yeah, that'd be awesome. Hey guys, welcome back in. So that was our interview with Wendy Tucker.
Oh, dude, that was great. I had such a fun time talking with Wendy.
Yeah, she has some really cool stories to tell.
Dude, absolutely. So you mentioned something about Bear. Who is Bear?
So Bear was Owsley Stanley. He was the sound man for the Grateful Dead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he used to sell. He taught himself how to make LSD in the library at Berkeley. I think over the course of like 2 weeks, taught himself, and I think it was stated that his life's goal was to make the world's most pure LSD, and so. Yeah, he really enjoyed doing that. I mean, the reason they called him Bear, he went on a what was he went on a carnivorous diet for a while.
Okay.
The Grateful Dead stayed with him in L.A. For a few months, I think, one time, and they said they got so tired of it because that's all he had in his refrigerator was just meat.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Dude, I can completely relate to that. I love protein, but sometimes you need a little something else on the side.
Right, a little fiber in your diet.
Yeah.
So that's Bear, and
Okay.
yeah, he was real famous in the dead community for his belt buckles. They're still
Nice.
really, really prized. Yeah, he made a bunch of belt buckles. He would sell them on lot before and after shows, and so
We should get a collection of anybody that's in the subreddit that has one of these belt buckles. You've got to take a picture and post it.
Right, post up your Owsley buckles. Right. Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for supporting the show. You guys, Patreon, thank you so much. You guys keep rocking it out. We're still working on the Psychedelic Science 2025. Hopefully, we'll hear back from them soon, and talking about maybe becoming a community partner with them, which will really help us out to be able to go and get some really nice access back there. So, yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Gosh, yeah. So yeah, we're going to be talking to Dale Alien. He did the intro music, and he talks about some of the these what was the big like 3-day sets, and so that Go a Gill, I think was that he used to do the festivals with. So
right, yeah, that was a really cool conversation too.
Right, it kind of got delayed a little bit with Rick's conversation coming in, and sorry about that, Dill, but Dill Alien, but we're trucking along, and still working on guests. We've got some big guests in the works, so hope to hear you guys keep supporting us, keep sharing on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, join on the Patreon, guys. We got a few people on there, but we're gonna need more if we're gonna get to Denver. So yeah, join on the Patreon. If Brian's gonna quit his job, we're gonna need a lot more people on the Patreon. So
we got to make it happen.
Yeah. So thanks, guys. Keep exploring, and we'll see you again pretty soon.